Hey y'all, this is Tiffany, the Project Bag, and welcome to my very first podcast. It's going to take a little bit for me to get used to this kind of format. I did Vlogmas this year and it's pretty relaxed, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more structured going forward. But, you know, relaxed is kind of my personality, so I'm sure that'll come through. But anyway, let's just consider this the honeymoon phase. I made some notes because otherwise I would be all over the place and nobody wants that. Sorry, this is not working for me. First and foremost, when I did Vlogmas, I was using my phone as my camera, but it would only allow me to do 15-minute videos, and who knows how long this might take. I'm going to aim to keep it at about 45 minutes max, 30 ideally. I know that, you know, not everybody has hours to devote to a podcast. So, all that said, instead of doing it on my phone, I'm trying it with my digital camera. So we'll see how this goes. If it works, you know, great. If it's bad quality or poor sound or something like that, then please know that I will work to improve that. So, obviously, I'm going to talk about knitting, spinning, any other kind of crafts that grab hold of me. You know, a little bit of personal stuff will slip in there. I am, in case you don't know, I am co-coordinator for Into the Wool Fiber Retreat, so I do intend to say a little bit about that. I'm coming to you from Southern Maryland in the U.S., which is on the East Coast of the U.S., so I intend to give you a little bit of history about my area. I figure that would kind of be, you know, something unique, and I have generations going back as far as the Revolutionary War, so my roots here run deep, and I would like to share the area with you since it is so rich in history, given that it's only 20 some odd miles outside of Washington, D.C. So there is that. Really up front, I would like to go ahead and put it out there on the internet, my promise to never pod fade. If for some reason I decide that this isn't working out for me, or, you know, I have to take a hiatus, any kind of anything, I always promise that there will be active communication somehow, whether it's a quick little clip that I put up on YouTube, whether it is a, you know, a fast little Instagram post, something. I will never just completely disappear. So if I do, please know that I probably have died. So, also, totally lost my train of thought. My cat jumped in and I got distracted. Well, I don't know. Maybe probably what I said, when I was thinking of Instagram, I probably didn't tell you that you could find me on Instagram as the Project Bag 35. If you'd like to follow me there, keep up with whatever I've got going on. I've become intentional. Okay, look, see, I've got notes. I'm already all over the place, but it's okay. We'll roll with it. My word for 2020, I have decided, is the word value. I will be turning 40 later this year, and I really want to become more intentional about valuing my time, valuing the time that I know this probably sounds morbid and probably a little bit like an overreaction to my age, but I want to value the time I have left on this earth, and so I want to become more intentional about that. So value is my word. And with that, I already started getting in that mindset last year and decided to take a step back from social media, so I already am kind of in the habit of not posting very often or spending a lot of time on social media. For me, that's more what valuing my time is going to look like, is just not wasting so much time, you know, just aimlessly picking up my phone throughout the day. So all that to say, you're welcome to follow me there. Just know that I probably, you know, I only post, I don't know, on any given week I might post once a week or so. You know, more or less depending on what I've got going on and whether or not I feel like I have anything to contribute. So, but please go and find me there. So I guess I'll just go ahead and jump into first what I'm wearing, because I don't know if you noticed this beautiful cowl that I've got around my neck. And it's beautiful. You probably didn't notice this because it was laying to the side, but my beautiful hat that is its companion. This is a set of yarn, obviously dyed, it's the same yarn, knit into a set designed by the same designer. This is the Without a Sound cowl, and the, ooh, probably should know the name of this hat because I think I've made it 5 times, the Flotsam hat. And they were both designed by Allie Coffee, also known as Crafty Allie around the internet. As I said, into the Wool Fiber Retreat, I have been an attendee all 6 years of its existence and a coordinator for the last 3, now going into the 4th. And Dana of Unwind is, Unwind Yarn Company that is, she is the head coordinator, one of the original founders, and has sold her yarn at the market every year. So this colorway is the Lake Francis Sunrise colorway that she dyed in 2016, I believe. And so for the first 4 years of the retreat, I was doing this kind of as an anthology of the retreat of the colorways that Dana had dyed. This is the DK base, and so I knew each year I could get a cowl and hat set out of a skein of her DK from that year's retreat exclusive. I'm no longer doing that because she's taken her retreat colorway in a different direction, which is cool because, I mean, I love this set, but, you know, one only needs but so many of them. Now, they are all in great colors, but again. But anyway, that's my knitwear for today. That and a pair of socks, obviously. Because it is currently snowing here. This is the first time that reminds me, I didn't tell you the date. I mean, if you're watching this, whatever the date is probably not lining up with the date it is today as I'm recording, but, you know, no matter. I will tell you that it is January the 7th. And on this date 22 years ago, I was giving birth. My oldest turns 22 today. And we'll be going to see him for a nice little visit for his birthday in a couple of days. But getting back to the weather, January 7th, it hasn't snowed here yet this winter, so you know, winter's relatively new, having only come in, you know, the 21st of December, but still, we've had, you know, pretty mild temperatures and, you know, just rain, no snow. So it's turned into, it was rain today, then it's turned into big fat snowflakes, and anyway, I definitely needed my wool socks because I had errands and things to run today. So, just dawned on me, I better make sure that I had put my phone on silent. Okay, so hat and cowl, that's what I'm wearing. There will almost always be some kind of neck accessory because that's what I do. I knit neck accessories. I wear a lot of them. I enjoy making them. You know, it drives my husband crazy, but yeah. I'm actually in the process now of thinking about what I can de-stash as far as that goes. I was recently made aware of Arkansas Yarn Company. They have a charity drive to make hats, well, maybe outerwear of any type for the homeless in their area. So I reached out to Lorianne, the owner, and asked her if they accepted gently used items, and she said yes. So I'm gonna try to go through some of my they're doing that, they're collecting those for the month of January, so I'm gonna try to go through some of my neck accessories and or hats also and see if there's some things I can pull out to send, because they don't necessarily have to be acrylic or even machine washable. They will take anything. So I was glad to hear that. Okay, so what do I have completed? Well, if you're observant, you will notice this piece of knitwear hanging behind me. If you followed my journey through Vlogmas, you will already know about this sweater. It's not a sweater, it's a vest. This is the Suzanne vest, and it was designed by Jennifer Donzi, I believe is how you maybe pronounce her name. Look, I found an end I didn't weave in. Oh, naughty me. Okay, I'll have to take care of that. This is a lady's vest, and I'm really hoping that you're seeing all of it and it's focusing well enough. There is a picture on my project page on Ravelry. If not, or also on my Instagram. But, and now it's not going to cooperate. The only thing it needs before it is delivered, this is for my son. I probably didn't get that far. Okay. Knit in Knit Pick Sport. Wool of the Andes Sport. I think it was 1,500, no, maybe just 1,000 yards. I don't know. The information's out there on the project page. But I started it hoping to give it to him for Christmas, and that did not work out. I ran out of time. Probably a better thing that I did, because I was able to try it on him before he went back home to Tennessee, and, excuse me, and I needed to come up further. I was using his dad as the reference because they're relatively the same size, but as it turns out, I think my son is longer torsoed or something, because where I would have started the neckline for my husband on the back, I needed to go up further for my son. So it is written for a lady. However, it doesn't have any waist shaping or anything like that. Knit in pieces. It's supposed to have a cable down this cable panel is supposed to run down the back as well as the front. I chose not to do that. I was in a time constraint, and so I just wanted to do the back straight stockinette so that I could hopefully get it done in time. I don't regret that even if I'd had extra time, I probably would have skipped doing that. The neckline, I knit it as written, and then I ended up having to pull it all back out, excuse me, and rework it because it drew it up too much, and it messed with the length as well because it had drawn it up so much. So that information is out there on my project page if you care to know more about that. This, I think, was the first time I worked with something knit in pieces. So I referred to my Craftsy class, well, I guess it's called Blueprint now, but by Ann Hansen on finishing knits. And so I referred back to that from Mattress Stitch, and I am so pleased with how that came out. It looks seamless. You cannot tell at all. So if you turn it to the inside, there is a definite seam there, but from the outside, you would think that it was knit around. So I'm satisfied with that. So I'm very happy that I can take it. The only thing that it needs, besides that end that I just found that needs to be woven, and the only other thing that needs to happen is that I need to take a lint roller to it because it's got some cat hair on it. So that is completed. What I have in process right now, process, that's the word I'm looking for. Right. What I've got going is, now that I've finished this garment for my son, I am making a little sock arms for my sweet baby niece. I say she's a baby. She just turned 5. And I had intended to make this for her birthday. Now it will be just a few weeks later than her birthday, which is fine. She didn't know that she was getting it. But I realized as I started the project page for this that I started her little sock arms that I made her last year on the same date. I started last year's on January 4th, and then I started this year's on January 4th. So I wonder if that shouldn't be some kind of tradition. Although really, it shouldn't be a tradition because her birthday is January the 5th. So if I intend to make it for her birthday every year, probably should get my tail and gear prior to the 4th. No matter. This is the little sock arms. My details are what I did. Since I made this last year, I only went up one size. I appreciate that I had all those really good project notes to go by. So I pulled out, last year's I made out of 2 skeins, or 2 colorways from Knit Picks, so that's what I'm doing this year. This is the Stroll Glimmer in Peacock, I believe. And again, I'm hoping that this is focusing well enough for you to see, but because it's glimmer, it's got sparkle in it, and but it's still got that softness that Stroll is known for. I did the ribbing on size 4, and the body is being knit on size 6, and it's just round and round. I'm going to try, I may not get a lot of knitting time between now and tomorrow evening probably, but we're getting ready to take an 11-hour car trip, so yeah, I fancy fixing this, or getting this puppy finished before we return home on Monday, because I remember enough about the pattern to know that it's very straightforward, it's very easy to follow, and like I said, I've got those notes to go by. So this peacock will be the main colorway, and then the arms are a fun self-striping colorway from Knit Picks in their Felici base, and the name of which is, I think it's Foxglove. It's purples. So anyway, probably the next time I show this, actually the next time I show it, because I intend to podcast every 2 weeks, I may not even have it, which actually reminds me that I intend to podcast every 2 weeks, as I just said, which would be on January the 21st, and I will actually have my niece that day. She'll be with me for a long weekend. Her parents, her family, they're going out of town to go hog hunting in Texas, so she will be staying with me, and so I probably will not podcast on that Tuesday the 21st, because she will be with me, and it will be, kind of difficult. Or, I mean, who knows, I may decide to have her sit beside me. We'll see. Actually, I probably will not do that, because she's not my child. Okay, so just intend that I will put out a podcast on probably the 22nd then. This is what you get. This is, I've got a running tally in my head. So there will probably be a picture or something of this finish the next time I podcast. Okay. So the only other thing I can't even say actively. I have this going. I haven't touched it in a while, but it's a spinning project, so I wanted to kind of establish that I am a spinner, and I have the ability to spin. It's just all this knitting stuff is taking up a lot of time. But this is my electric eel nano wheel that I was able to purchase from my friend Sue, who is Bus Knitter, and this is the first fiber that I've spun on it since I got it back in, I think it was October. Yes, it was Columbus Day, I think, that I picked it up from her. So the fiber that's on here is a Targhee, and I'm really hoping that it's focusing. No, I don't know. It is Targhee, like I said, dyed by Lady Llama Fiber Company, and the colorway is Pansy Pandemonium. This is the fiber, and I only have 2 ounces of it because I was a part of a swap that Fiber Nymph Dye Works, Lisa of Fiber Nymph Dye Works, and 90% Knitting Podcast. She hosted, I don't remember when it was. It might have been back in the summer, maybe. Yeah, I don't remember. But anyway, it was a fiber swap, and excuse me. So you took 4 ounces, you split it in half, and you kept 2 ounces of it, and you sent it to your partner, and vice versa. And then they were to spin it, and then you each kind of compared what you would do with the same type of fiber. Each spinner is going to do something different, or even if they did the exact same thing, their end product would probably look very different. So that's a pretty neat concept. The person that I sent to, I believe she was in the UK, and she spun hers immediately. I did not. But given that it was only 2 ounces, and these are, smaller bobbins, I figured that this was a good amount of fiber to start with to see exactly how much these bobbins would hold. So I've got, this is probably, well, it's definitely 1 ounce on here right now. Probably just a little over 1 ounce. So I definitely think that I could get, because, you know, I could fill it all the way to the edge there if I needed to. So yeah, I really have enjoyed the heck out of this wheel. I just haven't really touched it in a while. But given that I've been doing all this kind of obligation knitting, or this, you know, deadline knitting, all it has meant is that all I've been dreaming about is getting back to the wheel and doing something, you know, a little different. So it'll be waiting for me whenever I get back to it. But I did want to go ahead and kind of establish that here. So, and maybe now that I've, you know, kind of held myself accountable a little bit, maybe I will have more accomplished on it the next time you see me. Okay, so to come, when I held this up for my son to try on, his fiance got very excited about it. And I think at first she thought it was for her. So her reaction, and she's definitely a knit-worthy person. I've given her a couple of handmade things already, and you know, she's definitely appreciative. She comes from a family of makers, and so and she herself learned to crochet last September and has been pretty active at it. So her reaction to this vest made me want to knit her a sweater. Her birthday is in March, the beginning of March, and so I intend to make a sweater for her. I've picked out, well, my son and I picked out a pattern. God, words. Picked out a pattern. I let her pick out a colorway from Knit Picks. It's their Swish DK, and I'm pretty sure she's going to go with Wonderland Heather, which is like an icy blue. So just got to get that ordered and swatched and all that kind of stuff. For now, the sweater for Princess Precious Pants will have to, you know, I'll have to get that finished first. But anyway, that's what's coming next. And then after that sweater for future daughter-in-law is finished, this girl's getting a sweater, because I've been really, you know, itching to make myself one. So I have yarn and everything, patterns, like everything is lined up to go with that. So that's coming. And then my spinning projects to come, I started spinning Cormo for the first time about this time last year, or maybe it was even December before that, December of 2018. I don't remember for sure. But singles been wound, oh my word, what is that word? Singles have been spun for quite some time. I started plying them at Into the Wool. I think I sat down maybe over the course of the weekend. I probably sat down at my wheel for 15 minutes or so. So I already told them that I probably will not even bother bringing my wheel next year, or this year, because it's just not worth it for me to take up the space in my car and, you know, drag it around the property and all that, and then just never really fool with it. I said I must be a spinner in name only. But now that I've got this will probably likely go with me, because even if I don't end up taking it with me, you know, it's not a huge deal. So all that to say, the Cormo, I started plying it. Like I said, I spent 15-20 minutes. I think at the time I was having some issues with getting my tension right, maybe, or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, I came home from the retreat, and I don't know that my wheel has seen the light of day since I got home from the retreat. That was in September. It is now January. So I plan to rectify that. I really want to get that Cormo. I enjoy the process of spinning it, so I know the plying will be, you know, no big deal at all. I don't even remember now how I was plying it. I kind of feel like maybe I was chain plying it, because that's become my standard, you know, kind of my preferred method. For the longest time I was just a 2-plier, but I really do enjoy the roundness of the chain ply. So that's all to come. The only other thing maybe don't know exactly what happened, but my camera must have gotten angry at me because it cut off in the middle of my sentence. How rude. I don't even know if the angle is the same. I'm hoping so. Okay, I was talking about Into the Wool. So instead of just restarting everything, because I have no idea where I'll end up editing things, just know that everything can be found on the Ravelry group of Into the Wool Fiber Retreat. You can find it there in that group. And you'll hear from me again before I podcast or before signups go live. So we also have a Instagram page if you would like to go and see photos of previous years. So other than that, mentioning that's, you know, my Into the Wool update for this year, I just have my fun fact about Southern Maryland. So and specifically Charles County, because that is Southern Maryland is made up of 3 counties, essentially. And I live in Charles County, which we are the county that touches Virginia. Yes, I know geography, but I'm also thinking we're the one that, we are the closest to DC, but that actually might not be true. Calvert is probably about the same, but no matter. For these purposes, I'm just telling you, I live in Charles County and have my entire life, and as I said, for many generations back. So, Matthew Henson was an explorer, and he was born in Nanjemoy, Maryland, which is in Charles County, and it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and incidentally is where I grew up, and where a big part of my heart still lives. So, his parents were sharecroppers who were free people of color before the Civil War, and he spent most of his early life in Washington, D.C., but left school at the age of 12 as a cabin boy, to work as a cabin boy. And then he later returned to Washington to work as a sales clerk at a good department store. This is from Wikipedia, so, you know, I mean, it aligns with what I learned when I was growing up as a school child in Charles County, but, you know, I may run into something that sounds crazy. So one of his customers was Robert Peary, who in 1887 hired him as a personal valet. At the time, Peary was working on the Nicaragua Canal. So he accompanied Robert Peary on 7 voyages to the Arctic over a period of nearly 23 years. And they spent a total of 18 years on expeditions together. But their best known one was when they reached the North Pole on April the 6th, 1909. Henson said he was the first in their party to reach the pole. So that is why he is famous, you know, a famous person from this area, was that he potentially was the first man to reach the North Pole in 1909. So, I think I read somewhere else that while he started off in Charles County, yes, his parents they were subjected to attacks by the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacy groups who terrorized Southern freedmen and former free people of color after the Civil War. So they escaped from the racial violence here in Southern Maryland, and they moved. They sold the farm and moved to Georgetown in 1867. So while he was born here, yes, that's how he ended up working in D.C. And that series of events led him to meeting Robert Peary, which then led him to finding the North Pole. So there is a middle school in the county named after him, and he is one of our claims to fame. So with that, I'm really hoping this is still recording, and I will just say thank you for spending a bit of your time with me today, and I hope that this wasn't, you know, too crazy for a first go. And with that, I will just say happy crafting. Bye!